This is the Haulin Assets podcast, where we show you how to start and run your own trucking company. Ever wanted to go out on your own? Follow Chris as he goes through the highs and lows of running on his own authority.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Haulin Assets podcast, episode number 186. Today, we're talking about August 2025 financials. I'm your host, Craig. Over there, he's Chris. Hey, Chris.
How's it going, Craig?
Not bad. Not bad for a Tuesday. We're, usually it's the Air Force bugging us. Today, it's the garbage man. Keeps driving by, making me wonder, can we record right now?
He may not have changed his brakes. He's got some kind of brake issue going on, right? Because he's squeaking pretty hardcore.
I'm sure they go through the exact same issues with all the start and stop that you guys do, right? Okay. All right. So August 2025 financials. And I got to say, I'm really hoping that this is going to be a relatively quick episode because a few weeks ago, we teased Chris's colonoscopy story, and I have that chambered and ready to fire. I want to tell that story at the end of the...
I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to make this episode short enough that that will be at the end for your entertainment if you so choose. I'm a bit of I can't remember how much we teased it last time, but I'm a bit of a practical joke person. And so I played a little bit of a practical joke on the doctor and got in his top 5 of colonoscopies he's ever done before.
Nice. Well, that is a professional and very suggestive tease. All right, Chris, before we get into the numbers, it's Driver Appreciation Week, and you wanted to mention something about that.
It is. Yeah, just, thank our audience, first and foremost, as being in the trucking industry. The trucking industry is not an easy industry. And it's not an easy industry, but it's so critical to the U.S. economy, especially drivers. I've said this before, that year that I spent on the road driving just gave me a whole nother level of appreciation for what drivers do, the lifestyle they live, the challenges of being on the road. I think I've mentioned this also before. My wife kind of likened it to, the year that I spent deployed in Afghanistan. She says that in a lot of ways, being on the road, that year that I spent on the road was more challenging for her and for the family than, the year being completely away in Afghanistan. And a lot of it's just because you don't know, hey, can I rely on Chris for something or not? Is he going to be around or not? Like, deployed in Afghanistan, it was like, yeah, Chris isn't going to be here. But
right.
Then, driving over the road, things happen. Trucks break down. Shippers take longer than normal. You think you're going to be home for something, then you end up not being home for something. And it creates all those challenges and difficulties. So needless to say, I feel you. I know sometimes your job's a thankless job, but I appreciate you. I try to instill that into my kids, that they know how important you all are to each one of our lives. Like, we would not live the lives we live without truck drivers.
Absolutely. I can echo that. And furthermore, Chris, I love the idea of comparing your year on the road to your year in Afghanistan. I'm going to start telling people, I've been doing this show for 6 years. This is my NAM. Right?
Yeah, there you go. You'll see how far that takes you.
Yeah, that's right. All right, I need some free drinks. I've really been through it, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I will echo that. Thank you, everybody out there, for doing what you do and doing it well. Keep driving well, be safe, and treat each other and everybody else with respect out there, and we'll pay it forward for you. All right, Chris, before we get to the topic, I got to remind everybody, HaulinAssetsLLC.com for full show notes. And I always want to emphasize that on these financials episodes, because that's where you can go and see the numbers that we're going to be talking about today, whether they are pretty or not. Also, go to MotorCarrierHQ.com for the tools, tips, and people you need to make the jump from employee driver to owner operator. And lastly, HaulinAssetsAcademy.com for the self-directed educational route, courses there that you can take to learn the skills that you need as a business owner. Really, really valuable and shockingly cheap. So, HaulinAssetsAcademy.com. Chris, numbers. How we doing?
Well, I'll start off with this. it's feeling more like a normal freight market, this year, which is kind of good and bad. The good being that I really think we're going to get a fourth quarter bump. Like we haven't really seen that in the last several years. But the bad being that typically in the freight market, your summer months are some of your toughest months because, freight's just a little bit slower. People are doing other things and there's just not as much movement in freight. So that made August kind of a tough month. July was a little bit tough. August is a little bit tough. I will say this though, that September, we're really halfway through the month at this point, and it's feeling a little bit better than the last couple months have. So keep our fingers crossed that kind of holds out through the remainder of the month.
Okay. You were short selling how tough July was, but we'll skip past that for now. People can go back and listen to episode 184 for that. All right, Chris. So hopefully we'll see some bumps, but for now, let's deal with August numbers and the story that they tell us. Let's start with the number we always do, total miles run on 11 trucks.
So it was 104,346 miles, which is really 14,000 miles lower than our average over the last, year and a half. And so, that's obviously
super low. How do you know off the top of your head how it compares to August of last year, like month to
no,
August
but
to August?
I happen to have it here and I could tell you. So August of last year, we actually ran quite a few miles. So 136, which is on the upper end of mileage. And I can't remember off the top of my head why that would have been so high, but August of this year was rough.
And so if we run into other tough numbers in this month, 2025, that's going to be something to point to and say, oh, geez.
For sure.
Okay, good. Deadhead miles.
So the deadhead was 7,540, which is 7.2%, which is less than it has been the last several months. And that's expected. The shipper, one of our shippers that we during the summer months kind of have a higher number of deadhead miles. Those are tapering off. We're tapering off in August and will be basically gone in September.
Okay. So total revenue then on those, 104,000 miles, total revenue?
Total revenue was, what the heck happened here?
Looking at it in the notes.
Yeah, the notes it's wrong.
Okay.
I resaved this because I know I put a note in there too. I'm not sure what let me see if I download the file again. Well, I've got it on the P&L here.
Oh, it's not in the...
off the P&L.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not in the 2025 yet.
All right. So total revenue was $209,337.10.
Okay. 209.
209.
On, it was 104,000 miles, was it?
Yeah.
Just looking for the
So
numbers
that's
again.
our second lowest revenue total since August of 2023. So it's been a long time since we've had, twice in essentially 2 years that it's been this low. So that just goes to show like it was a low month.
So what's the rate per mile then?
So the rate per mile was $2.01 a mile, which isn't the worst we've seen. Like if you look again, kind of that same time period, the last 2 years, it's not the worst. So revenue, like the rate per mile, I still think is, especially considering the time of the year, isn't horrible. It's definitely not where we want it to be and where we need it to be, but not as bad as it had been some of the other months over the last 2 years.
Do you still consider like $2 a mile to be that red line, like panic mode, kind of what the heck is going on number?
Even the 201 is like we that's not something we can
not
sustain.
Sustainable.
Even when we get a higher number of miles at that $2 a mile, it's hard to. If everything went perfect, we could probably do okay if we got a high number of miles at that 201. But everything would have to kind of be perfect.
And low maintenance and no repairs.
Low maintenance, yeah. None of the other kind of crazy stuff, nothing unexpected.
Right.
Decent fuel price, all that stuff would have to be in play to really be profitable at that.
So what are we looking at then for total profit and or, I shouldn't say and or, there's no such thing, profit or loss?
So it was one of those months with a loss, and it was $6,767.91. So not a huge number, but definitely not where we need it to be.
Again, not sustainable. And, I feel like we've been saying that for quite a long time. So I'm looking forward to some more green numbers, or black if you're an accountant. So some more green numbers that say that trend lines are going up. Because even though that's not the biggest loss in the world, it's it's stacked on month after month after month, and so it's been a long few years since COVID, or I guess since the COVID aftermath that we talked about in a recent episode. All right, so Chris, let's talk profit and loss items. Anything that you want to pull out, line items that you want to see that maybe have some explanatory power or just storytelling power.
So again, the revenue, being the big thing, low number of revenues that really came from the low number of miles, and that low number of miles is something that's concerning to me. Yeah.
So tell me more about that. It's a low number of miles. Is that just a function of the summer? Or because that's why I asked about last year, and you said it was like 239 or something like that, a solid 30,000 plus miles more than what the company ran this year on the same number of trucks. And so that tells me that there might be more to the story with the low miles.
I think a lot of it has to do with summer. People kind of fluctuate when they take their vacations, and I think we had a handful of drivers taking vacation in August. Another big contributing factor to that is we had one driver who hasn't been running, not just in August, but for the last several months, hasn't been running nearly as many miles as typical. We decided early in September that we were going to parted ways amicably. And this particular driver was actually driving our oldest truck. And so it kind of comes to the point that truck has just shy of 900,000 miles on it. So we haven't made the final decision on this yet, but I think there's probably a pretty good chance we're going to end up selling that truck and moving on from there.
Hey, by the way, listeners, anybody need a truck?
There you go.
No, that's interesting. Okay, so somebody just not running as hard. And with a crew of 11 drivers, is one person enough to make that big an impact? Like, that can't be the only explanation, right?
Yeah, it's not the only explanation. I think you add that with the summer vacations, and I haven't really looked at this for sure, but my gut would tell me also a little bit has to do with the kind of heavy maintenance and repairs. Anytime you have to pull a truck off the road and put it in a shop, even if you're trying to do it when a driver would be home anyway, it's typically going to last a little bit longer than what the driver's normal downtime would be. And so I think you add all that together. There's, that contributes to it. I still do want to kind of take a little bit more of a look into it and figure out, okay, is there anything that we can do to increase our miles? What else is kind of contributing to this?
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. So with the mileage explanations that we have, do you have any ideas of what you might do to fix that? I mean, you talked about maybe selling the truck and not backfilling that position. Okay, so there's one thing. Anything else off the top of your head? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but that you've been thinking about, like, okay, if we want to get our miles up, here's X, Y, and Z that we can do.
I think that's the big one. It's going to be interesting to see. I kind of want to look at September and October's numbers mileage wise before we really start to make any big drastic changes. I kind of want to look at how we pull trucks off the fleet when it comes to doing maintenance and repairs, and just see if there's anything that we can do slightly different to improve that. For the most part, most of our drivers want to get a lot of miles. That's how they get paid. And so I don't think there's a whole lot of it has to do with necessarily driver behavior, but that's something that we need to look at a little bit too. Sure. So I wish I had a great answer for that question, but I don't. I need to dive into it a little bit more.
Okay. All right. Well, it's if there's anybody else out there listening who wants to chime in, we'd love to hear you. Hit us up on Facebook. Go to Facebook, search Haulin Assets. No G, Chris. Haulin Assets. You can leave some comments there on the post for this episode. You can also do that at haulinassetssllc.com. But either way, we'd love to hear from you. If you feel like, hey, I've got the answer to your problems. Oh, yeah, we'd love to get that answer and then pass it along to everybody else. But in lieu of that, Chris, you'll go think about it, and maybe we can talk about that on a future episode.
Sounds great.
Okay, cool. So let's get to other profit and loss line items then. What do you want to move to next?
So one of the first one that kind of sticks out a little bit that you don't see all the time is damages. And we actually talked about this last month for the same reason. So we are one of our shippers that we do a lot of business with was shipping out a facility that's not their normal facility. And I don't think that facility did a very good job of stacking some of the loads. And we had a couple instances with load shifts and,
restacking fees.
Had to restack. And so that's where that $1,600 in damages comes from, is another restacking fee. It takes time and energy when you're having to pull, 20 plus pallets off of a truck and restack all or most of them. It's time intensive.
Yeah. Okay, good. Anything else from, I guess, repairs and maintenance as a catch-all category?
Yeah, repairs and maintenance were actually pretty normal in August. June and July were really bad, and now we've kind of come back to more of a normal level. September so far, again, is feeling like it's at more of a normal level, so we'll kind of keep our fingers crossed that that's there. One of the areas where things did jump up a little bit is fuel. Our fuel percentage was 32% of revenue, which is the highest we've seen in I think over a year.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a combination of a couple things. Fuel prices this summer went up higher than they have in the last little bit. And, you think about it, the revenue went down, the rate per mile went down, and the fuel increased. And so those two items combined work against each other when it comes to that percentage of revenue. So that was definitely a contributing factor to the loss as well.
Right. Okay. Well, good. Any others from that category, or any other categories that you want to talk about? Or do you feel like we've exhausted the highlights?
No, there's just one more, and that's the taxes and licensing. $4,700, way higher than normal. A big part of it is it was fuel taxes. Our fuel taxes. The way I kind of paid fuel taxes, and you pay it in July, but I paid it like the very last day of July, so it didn't actually come out of our account until August. So you're seeing that in August. The one that was really big was actually Oregon. We paid over $3,400 in Oregon, which Oregon always is that fun one.
I feel like it every time there's a specific state that comes up. Well, no, there are two options for the one that gets called out: California and Oregon, right?
Yeah, those are two states that are super fun to deal with. So yeah, Oregon's, we did a lot of in the second quarter, a lot of trips up into Oregon or Washington where you're having to travel through Oregon. And so that Oregon tax was pretty hefty. What,
as we're recording this in September, okay, so we're about to start moving into fall, and then winter. I'm curious, what month do you typically start doing winter fuel and seeing that jump up as a line item for your fuel?
It's a good question. It seems like in October, sometime around October is when, certain parts of the state, they'll start to put in, the anti-gel additives that come along with winter fuel. So that's usually when you start to see it jump. But a lot of times you don't feel it as hard because you're going to see the summer decrease, people, specifically four-wheelers aren't driving as much in the summer months. And so that pressure kind of alleviates a little bit, but then you've got the fuel additives coming in, and that's going to increase it. So sometimes they offset themselves a little bit, but we'll start to see that in October.
Okay. All right. Well, good to know. I guess that wraps up the numbers as far as the highlights go. Again, HaulinAssetsLLC.com. You can go look at this profit and loss statement, and I encourage you to do so. In fact, I know a lot of our listeners have found a lot of value in seeing, not just hearing, but seeing these numbers over time. You can download all of these files. You can look at them. You can make fun of Chris from the comfort of your den or whatever.
And more importantly, you can kind of compare to what you're seeing on your side of things. And it's a really good, good way to look at, hey, where am I doing well? Where can I improve at?
I would say for those who are relatively new listeners to the podcast, you've figured this out, I hope. But if you are thinking about jumping over and becoming an owner operator, or you've done so recently, go back in time. Go back to the 2019, 2020 shows that we did where we put those numbers out there, because you're going to see what it looked like when Chris was alone out there on the road. And it wasn't 10, 11 trucks out there. And so it's a little easier maybe to make some of those apples to apples comparisons. Go back in time. All the episodes are still available. Really encourage you to do so. All right, Chris, I heard that people went rooting around in your butt.
Yeah.
So
they did.
I'm going to end the episode here so that I can roll the tape on that and have you tell us that story.
That sounds good.
All right. See you next time. So, Chris.
Craig.
How's your ass?
You know what? It feels fine. It feels just fine.
I should prep. Maybe we shouldn't start the story that way.
Yeah, this is perfect. Keep it going. Like this is a comical. So I'm gonna make a fool of myself in this, and so we might as well just run with it.
A few weeks ago, we teased a story. This is that story. Chris, you had your first colonoscopy.
I had my first colonoscopy. Yeah, it's been 50 that you have to get it, but they just dropped the age to 45 in the last year or two. And so I had my annual physical a few months ago, and the doc's all like,
it's about that time.
Yep, you need to get a colonoscopy. And I'm like, all right, fine. So anyway, we said that, and lo and behold, one of my neighbors that's my age just got diagnosed with colon cancer. Oy. So that just makes it that much more. I'm glad I'm doing this. So anyway, yeah, I had my colonoscopy just yesterday.
Okay. So I haven't even heard the whole story yet. All you said was, the procedure was fine. It was fine. But
it's actually kind of nice. They give you propofol, I think.
That's the flush drink.
Yeah, well, no. That's what they put you out with.
The propofol.
I think isn't that what I think it's the same thing that Michael Jackson died of. What he overdosed on. Something like that. Anyway, okay. Then they give you, it's essentially a nap. It's great. So the procedure itself, you don't feel a thing. It's awesome. Like you're out cold.
Okay. So why is this such a good story?
So here's where the funny comes in. I'm a bit of a prankster, right? I like a good prank. I appreciate a good prank. And I'm like, this is going to be, a colonoscopy. I mean, you're getting shoved something, like you said, up your ass, the whole world, maybe not the whole world, like 4 or 5 people are in there, get to see your ass. So what can I do to kind of, where do I get the joy out of doing this?
Exactly.
Like, how can I make this fun for me?
Chris, you should have seen the jokes I was throwing around to the nurses who were getting me the snip with the doctor, right? Like, yeah. You got to find some way to lighten it.
So anyway, what I decided to do is I got some big googly eyes. Like,
oh no.
Googly eyes about the size of a quarter.
Okay.
And I go in,
I hate where this is going.
And on top of that, I had my wife write a little note on my butt cheeks. I am watching you.
Oh no.
So anyway, I go in, they give you a prep room where you strip down, you put on that backless robe thing. I put that on.
No, Chris. It's not backless. It's assless today.
Okay, the assless robe. And my wife, before we left the house, had written the note on my butt cheeks, and she kind of showed me, okay, here's where you want to put the googly eyes. So I knew about where and she had, she's a hairstylist, And so she had this two-way
So
tape
she
that they
braided
used for
your-
extensions.
You braided your hair back there?
If I had enough, we were thinking about putting some extensions, making a cute little wig, but we didn't get quite that elaborate. Maybe the next one we'll do that.
Oh no.
So anyway, she kind of shows, we get the tape on, she shows me where to put them. So I'm in the changing room, I change, I put the googly eyes on, and they give you these nice warm heated towels that are blankets that you lay down on the little gurney thing. And
I hate those.
Yeah. Well, you lay down on that, you put the towels on you, and in a few minutes, the nurse is all like, "Are you ready?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready." And they wheel me into the procedure room, and I'm sitting there, and in the procedure room, there's probably 5 people. There's a nurse, there's a couple techs, there's the anesthesiologist. The doctor at this point hadn't walked in yet. In fact, I don't even think I saw the doctor until after the procedure. Maybe not, I can't remember. Anyway, so I'm just laying there, we're talking and just kind of BSing, and it gets close to time to the procedure, and the anesthesiologist is explaining everything to me. I've got an IV in, and he's like, "Okay, we're ready to go. I need you to roll over onto your left side." So I roll onto my left side. The nurse comes and moves the blankets over. And then she opens the assless robe, and she starts to like giggle, but she's like trying to keep it professional. So she's laughing, but trying to hold it back. And the anesthesiologist is like, "What's going on? Is everything okay? What's happening?" And the nurse is just like holding back this laugh, just like, "Give it a minute, you'll see." And so that whole commotion dies down, and the doc's all like, "Okay," or the anesthesiologist is like, starts injecting the medicine into the IV, and he's like, "You're gonna, 10 or 15 seconds, you'll start to feel it take effect." And I'm like, just remember thinking, "Okay, I'm not feeling anything. And the next thing I know, they're waking me up. Yeah. So anyway, the nurse gets me awake, and she and my wife are in the room at that point talking about it and laughing. And she thought it was pretty funny. And then a few minutes after that, the doctor comes in to give me the results. And he walks in, he's all like,
Chris, you're a military man. It's a debrief.
A debrief. Yeah. He comes in to debrief me. And he says that you made my top 5 of colonoscopies that I've done. Like that. So I was really proud of that.
Nice. Nice.
He thought it was pretty funny.
So now, I assume, did you get results yet as far as like,
everything's good. I had one little polyp. They removed. Everything's good. Clean bill of health.
Nice. I'm curious what your reaction to this story would be if it hadn't been a clean bill of health. What if you'd been diagnosed with cancer and you between googly eyes, you're like, "You're gonna die. Hey, I'm watching you."
You still have to appreciate the humor, and I don't know. I appreciate some good humor, and to me, that's some pretty solid humor.
Well, ultimately, I think the lesson we've all learned today on this Saturday morning cartoon is go get your ass checked, everybody. Hey, if you're over 45.
Yeah. And do something to surprise the docs when you're doing it.
There you go. Yeah, you might as well have some fun with it. When I was a teenager, I had terrible teeth. I didn't take very good care of them, and whatever. I was at the dentist a lot, so I got the laughing gas for the first time when I was like 16, 17. And the hygienists were listening to some music on the overhead speakers, and it was like the lyric was, "I can hide out under there. I just made you say underwear." And I'd heard the song a million times, but never registered the lyric. And one hygienist explains it to the other, and I giggled my way through 45 minutes in that chair. I could not let it go. Yeah, that was the only time
the laughing gas was working.
It really lived up to its name.
Funny.
And similarly, I'm sure the dentist was frustrated because I'm taking up chair time, right? But at the end of it, the hygienist was like, "Come back anytime."
That's funny.
Anyway, that's awesome. Well, do me a favor, and despite this being a YouTube simulcast thing, do not show us the googly eyes. We're just gonna let it lie there, on the left side. All right, Chris. I'll see you later.
See you.